Whiskey.
Oh. She's gonna be fine. See? Okay. Oh gosh. Here's the basket.
It's chopped salad time with Chion Wolf. I'm Chion Wolf. Let's chop some salad. But first, a letter from the prophet David Eagleman from the book of Some 40 Tales from the Afterlives. How we've lately been starting this show. This is a short book, a book of short essays about the afterlife, things that could possibly happen. When you arrive in the afterlife, you find that Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley sits on a throne. She's cared for and protected by a covey of angels. After some questioning, you discover that God's favorite book is Shelley's Frankenstein. He sits up at night with a worn copy of the book clutched in his mighty hands, alternately reading the book and staring reflectively into the night sky. Like Victor Frankenstein, God considers himself a medical doctor, a biologist without parallel, and he has a deep, painful relationship with any story about the creation of life. He has much to say about bringing animation to the unanimated. Very few of his creatures have thought deeply about the challenges of creation, and it relieved him a little of the loneliness of his position when Mary wrote her book. The first time he read Frankenstein, he criticized it the whole way through for its oversimplification of the processes involved. But when he reached the end, he was won over. For the first time, someone understood him. That's when he called for her and put her on a throne. To understand his outpouring of feeling, you must understand the trajectory of God's medical career. God discovered the principles of self-organization by experimenting with yeast and bacteria. He reveled in the beauty of his inventions. Once he mastered the general principles, his inventions became increasingly sophisticated. With artistic flair, he sewed together the astounding platypus, the compact beetle, the weighty woolly mammoth, the glistening pods of dolphins. His skills became razor-sharp and keen, and his accurate fingers fashioned with blinding, ambitious accuracy all the animals at the limit of his vast imagination. But then unwittingly he crossed his Rubicon. He created man, his most prized possession, his treasure, pride, showpiece, and obsession. But then unwittingly he crossed... Just kidding. Unlike the other animals who experienced each day like the one before, man cared, sought, yearned, erred, coveted, and ached, just like God himself. He marveled as man picked through the ground and formed tools. The invention of musical instruments reached God's ears like a symphony. He watched with awe as men gathered up, erected cities, built walls. He felt his joy turn to trepidation as they began to scrap and brawl. It didn't take long before they were invading. Wars waged as he tried to talk sense to those who might listen. He quickly discovered he had less control than he thought. There were simply too many of them. He tried to make good things to come to good people and bad to bad, but he didn't have the technology to implement it. The bloodshed mounted and was carried forward by the Assyrians and Babylonians. The Greco-Macedonians assailed their neighbors. The Romans began their onslaught until the sieges of barbarians and Goths. Byzantium rose and fell in blood. The Chinese baited and pounced. Europeans flung themselves at each other. The bright colors of his ground were darkening with man's blood, and there was precious little he could do to stop it. And all throughout, the voices of man reached him with pleas for help, entreaties for aid against one another. He plugged his ears and howled against the cries of pillaged villages, the prayers from exsanguinating soldiers, the supplications from Auschwitz. This is why he now locks himself in his room, and at night sneaks out onto the roof with Frankenstein, reading again and again how Dr. Victor Frankenstein is taunted by his merciless monster across the Arctic ice. And God consoles himself with the thought that all creation necessarily ends in this. Creatures powerless, fleeing from the things they have wrought. Another uplifting chapter from Some 40 Tales from the Afterlives by the prophet David Eagleman. Let's chop some salad. How was your week? What did you do that you were proud of? What did you do that you weren't proud of? What did you do you would do again? What did you do that you want to do again? What did you do that surprised you? What did you do that you forgot about until you just thought of it just now? Is there a meal that you made that you were really proud of? Did you memorize a poem? Did you get lost? Did you get found? Did you get sick? Did you embarrass yourself? Did you answer any questions? Did you sing along to any music?
Judy Weatherby says went on a nice 3-hour hike today.
That's nice. A 3-hour hike? That's wonderful. Where was it? Today must have been a good day for a hike. A little bit cold, but once you get the blood going. Thanks, Mia. Haven't been on a hike in a while. This week, what was it, Thursday or something? We were in the 60s here in Connecticut. Woo! There was some rain, but the warm weather was comforting. Feeling a little low energy. Last night was Asking for a Friend with Chion Wolf, Season 3, Episode 3. Hi, Netflix. We discussed what the perfect apocalypse would be. The gentleman from CT Improv, Chris Dubé, said that his perfect apocalypse would be the ineffective one, which was very funny. You should write down in a little box down there what your favorite apocalypse is. What would be the perfect apocalypse? I argued for a man-made black hole at the Large Hadron Collider. So we would be defeated by our own technology and curiosity. I think that would suit us really well. But then I thought, what if it did happen, but we just don't know it because we're on the other side of the black hole. We also discussed whether or not one should support increased surveillance on their city. Hartford Police has gotten some money to fly drones, install more cameras, including cameras at residential structures. And pretty unanimously, the panel was against it. So that was interesting. Then we talked about, like, well, what if you could have a magic wand to correct some of the very old, systemic, complicated, ingrained problems within a police force. If you had a magic wand, what would you do? Part of it had to do with some of the solutions were having more civilian oversight when there's any cases brought against police officers. We also talked a bit about the fact that our entire criminal justice system is founded by what were called slave catchers. That's the part of the history of the police force. And that stuff's ingrained. It's so ingrained that even people of color who are in the police are also capable of abusing their power.
Got some comments, Mio.
Oh.
Cat claw.
Oh.
Morgan Gold says, "Hey, Chion."
Yo! Hi!
Judy says she went to Valley Falls Park.
Oh.
And then of Netflix, she said, "Help her today? Watch that tail."
Yeah, watch out, Nephthys. I got a knife.
Morgan Gold says a Terminator-style robot world takeover would have a very beautiful and ironic quality to it.
Hi, Morgan. That's a good thought.
Peter Carpenter says, ended up on the YouTube stream by accident. I like the camera angle here better.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, we're on Facebook Live and my YouTube Live, which is a new thing I'm doing. If you go to youtube.com/KionWolf, you'll see another angle of this conversation. But it's good to know that you prefer this one, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Thanks, Mia. So, after the show, we had some friends over, and we stayed up way past our bedtime. So I'm dragging a little bit today. It happens. Just go to bed early tonight. Morgan, what if we were done in by, instead of Terminator, RoboCop? And then we're really gonna have some conversations about surveillance. Am I right? Do you have anything fun planned for this week? You should tell me what you're doing this week. This Thursday, I'm gonna be at Asylum Hill Congregational Church, talking about being a business owner in Hartford, the joys and challenges of what the city has to offer and what we have to offer it. Ooh. It's cucumber time. I'm gonna launch my Patreon soon so I can get some wireless mics, because I know you're just waiting for me to cut through this cord. I'm waiting for me to cut through this cord. I'm impressed it's lasted as long as it has. Oh, I've also started making a new website. That's fun. It's not that fun. That's tedious. Oh boy. Yeah.
Gonna see if I can access the comments here easily.
Thanks, man.
Peter Carpenter says, "I made coal cannon with bacon and mushrooms for St. Patty's Day dinner." I think I'm not pronouncing that right. Coal cannon? Coal cannon?
I should know, but I
don't know
don't.
what that is.
What is that, Peter Carpenter?
And prepped for the buttered cabbage and corned beef deviled eggs I'm making for Cookbook Club tomorrow.
Whoa.
That sounds delicious.
What are you reading in book club? You have lots of questions to answer, Peter.
Morgan Gold says, "True." I'm not sure which part.
All of it.
Peter Carpenter says, "My favorite Armageddon to contemplate is a magnetic storm from the sun taking out the world's electric grid."
Oh yeah.
Already happened once in Victorian times. Took out the telegraph system.
Whoa. Telegraphed?
Ooh, Morgan Gold just boiled a bunch of maple syrup today. More of that this week.
Oh yeah, Morgan. Morgan's got a farm and a shit ton of land, and he has a YouTube series where he talks about it. It's pretty cool. And there's cats. As if you needed any more reason to watch. Yeah, the idea of our electrical system going out makes me think that we should probably have more like survival books. Like survival books that are laminated and put somewhere. We have a go bag. Do you have a go bag? You should have a go bag. A go bag is what it sounds like. It's a very sturdy bag, like maybe a hiking bag or camping bag, where you put stuff that you can live off of in case of an emergency, in case you have to go. MREs and things to keep warm and blankets and stuff. Light.
Peter Carpenter said it's a cookbook club. We make food and bring the recipes. We try everyone's stuff and discuss how we all made it.
Cookbook club. That's wicked cool. A cookbook club. If you had it in Hartford, you could call it the Hartford Cookbook Club. That's a cool thing about doing anything in Hartford. You just start with Hartford and with club. Hartford Whiskey Club.
Mm-hmm.
Hartford Tequila Club, which did have its day in this city. I don't know what it is about tequila. Because at Hartford Whiskey Club, Hartford Tequila Club, you just pour like an ounce. And then you try 3 different kinds throughout the night. That's just 3 ounces of whiskey. That's not a lot. But in Tequila Club, for some, I don't know what magical power. Does tequila have the same amount of alcohol? Between 40 and 50 usually? Anyway, the club didn't last long. I don't think we could take it. Also, whiskey's really popular now, so there's a lot of different kinds. Tequila, I'm not sure, I don't know. I'm guessing it would be easy to go through the options in a couple months.
Maria Carmen Salazar says, who eats all the salad when you finish? A lot of salad emoji.
Well, it is episode 41 of It's Chopped Salad Time with Chion Wolf. I'm Chion Wolf. So maybe one of these days I'll make as many salads as is the number of the episodes. But the answer to your question is 5 of these are mine and 2 of them are Emily's. I love salad, so I have them every day for lunch. And it's always the same salad. It's always the same salad.
Peter Carpenter let me know it's Cole Cannon.
Cole Cannon.
And it's mashed potatoes mixed with sauteed cabbage. I added bacon, onions, and mushrooms. Sounds good to me.
Sounds Irish.
Sounds Irish. Love cabbage.
It's also St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day. I met the people who run the New Haven St. Patrick's Day Parade, which was last weekend. It was so sad because it was raining. But holy crap, the amount of time and effort and money that goes into putting a parade on is crazy. It's like, I think it's over $100,000 just to put it on. Yeah. You gotta really love a parade. And then there's like a bunch of people that are volunteering their time, and so you gotta, it's involved.
Maria Carmen Salazar says she's making it now too, and I don't know if it's the salad or if it's the Cole Cannon.
Cool. Either way. Sunday's a good day to chop some salad. This whole thing started because I was making salad for the week and I realized, this takes like 45 minutes to an hour and I'm just standing. And sometimes we listen to a podcast or talk or just hang out. But then it occurred to me, I could do Facebook Live or something and just talk to my friends.
She said salad.
Salad. I figured it'd be weird if you happen to be making anything else really while watching It's Chopped Salad Time, but Peter Carpenter likes to think outside the box, I guess. Not that you don't, Mary Carmen. And so here we are. I've started recording when I do the voiceover for the Colin McEnroe show. I've started recording those credits, and it's been really cool. There's a lot of questions people have about voiceover, and I'm totally happy to answer them. I love voiceover. If you're interested in getting into voiceover, just know 2 things that people will say to you if they are in the voiceover field. You will hear people say, it's really saturated. It's a really saturated market. And they say that, first of all, because it's true. And second of all, because they don't want the competition. But the other thing that I'll say is there's more work out there than I think can be stood. So if you want to get into voiceover, go for it.
Can you throw me a pepper?
Yep. Throw you a pepper? It might get sloppy. I'll try.
I don't want to get up.
All right, Mio.
Let me put my glasses on. Okay.
In 3,
Whew.
2,
Okay.
1. Yes!
That was awesome!
You caught it
You
perfectly.
threw it perfectly. Do you see I didn't even have to move my hand?
You didn't even wobble. It didn't even bounce. You want to try it again?
Yeah.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1. 2 for 2, Mio. Let's just stop right there. Yeah, no, there's no reason to keep. Well, I mean, we don't want to be cocky.
Peter Carpenter says I also made my salads for the week. Something I started doing when I started watching It's Chopped Salad Time with Chion Wolf, except he just used the acronym,
Nice.
which is
ICSTSTWC.
ICSTWCW.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly flow off any tongues.
That's a lot.
Oh, and asking for a friend, we asked audience members to write down their anonymous confessions. And so at the end of the night, we read the confessions, sort of like a little treat at the end of the show that you get. And somebody wrote, I find It's Chopped Salad Time with Chion Wolf oddly satisfying, which made me feel wonderful. I'll tell you what, when a long time ago I was standing outside the Bushnell and someone who I did not know came up to me and she said, I just want to let you know, I love It's Chopped Salad Time. And clearly I'm talking about it to this day. That made me feel really good. What a world. What a world. For episode 50, Chef Chris Prosperi of Metro Beast Restaurant and The Food Schmooze with Faith Middleton will be in this kitchen. So that's episode 50.
Mary Kay Fenton just outed herself. She said, that was me. Yes, I'm outing my own confession.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Mary is her name?
Mary Kay Fenton.
Mary Kay. I think about you all the time, Mary Kay. Not all the time. Just when we're doing Chopped Salad Time. Anyway, that was cool. And you're watching now. That's awesome. Now this is the moment where I realize I am famous. It just happened.
You made it.
You were here for it. That's really cool. You have great taste in salad chopping shows. Also for the 50th episode, I want to get like a balloon for 50th birthday. Say 50 on it. Oh, some other news. So I'm working on a pilot for Connecticut Public Radio, and we're still figuring out the theme and the title. I want it to be called What It's Like with Chion Wolf. And there'll be conversations with people who either have had singular experiences or jobs or conditions. So I want to interview a couple who have been married for over 50 years. And just before the show, a friend of mine who's been trying to help me find a couple, he found a couple couples, but none of them wanted to talk about it. Very frustrating. But he just messaged me right before I went on the air with you to say not only did he find a couple, but this couple is over 70 years married. And they love to talk. So I'm very, very excited about that. And it's also good to know, like, when you come up with an idea for a show, you think, oh yeah, I can totally imagine doing that. It's such a good idea that I would have so many people who would probably talk to me. That's not always true. Sometimes I think I overestimate the people who would say yes to that. But who knows? I guess that's why, like, the longer you're in your job, and when it's a job like this, maybe people are more likely to say yes to you after you've done a few because they're like, oh, this is cool because this is something people watch and you would know my style. Technically, when I'm on the air, I'm saying support comes from our members. Like for the most part, none of my original work or creative work is on the radio. So who the hell am I? Like, why would you think I could interview you? You just don't know that yet. But you will.
Peter Carpenter says it is really satisfying, especially the snick the choppers make. Chop, chop, chop.
I have a mic right next to the salad so you can hear the salad. The third episode of Connecticut Voice Podcast with Chion Wolf is out. It's my conversation with Carolyn Kwan, the music director of the Hartford Symphony Orchestra. She's also the conductor. I had a lot of questions about conducting and life in that position of power. So we haven't advertised that it's out yet, but it is out. If you look up Connecticut Voice Podcast or you just search Chion Wolf and Spotify or iTunes or whatever, you will find out what kind of music she would like to hear as she's dying. So that's something you don't get from every interview, I think. The extended version, which would be cool to put somewhere later. She talks about like this sort of death metal orchestral music that she really loves, which I don't think I didn't really think about death metal orchestra stuff until she brought it up. So it's always good to learn new things. I would also like to interview somebody who does the kind of death metal screaming, the vocalizations. Woo!
You upset?
I'm so sad. Getting really emotional.
Salads look pretty.
Thanks, Mia. I have questions about what that does to the voice and how you train and how you can tell the difference between somebody who's really good at it and someone who's really new at it. Because to the untrained ear, if you don't listen to scream music, I don't want to know if that's the right word for it. I think it all sounds a bit like the same. Whoa, I didn't chop the salad. Oh no!
Oh no, Mia!
I'm just gonna throw it all away. I'm gonna burn it all down. I'm sorry I let you down. Sorry I let you down.
That's why you're crying.
That's why I'm crying. Now I have to chop with everything in there.
Well, you gotta change it up every week,
Yeah. How about a ceremonious chop? Ceremonial chop. 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 It's just so chock full. Chop. I mean, it's ceremonious anyway. Ceremonial? Ceremonious? Ceremonial. It's ceremonial anyway. I'm sorry. I'll do better next week. I'll definitely do better on episode 50. Episode 51, though, I'm gonna call it in. It's peeled egg time.
Oh, that's cute.
For this project, I interviewed a woman who's living in a shelter to talk about what it's like to be homeless, and she made a really strong point that so she has 3 kids.
Whiskey, keep it moving.
Whiskey. It's not the whiskey show. Well,
Come on, Steve.
I wouldn't mind if it was the whiskey show. Be terrorizing Memphis. So one point that she made that was pretty profound was if her son, for example, was in trouble with the law, he would be provided for. he'd be in jail. He would have food. Safety is not necessarily something he would have, or security, but she was pointing out how disturbing it is that there's always money for incarceration, but there's never money to stop this from happening in the first place. To stop and to help people who are losing resources. There's at one point she was trying to find a shelter before the one she's in now, and she said that when she called 311 that they couldn't do anything unless she was on the street. And she's like, but I've got 3 children. I'm trying to avoid being on the street, but only some resources are available in those conditions. And I know it's complicated, but you'd think that in one of the wealthiest countries in the world that we'd be able to figure this out. She says her kids are always sick. In the shelter, will come through. They can't keep themselves clean, or they've been in places that are also unsanitary, and everything is shared, and places aren't exactly sterilized. So now I have that on top of it. It's really pretty dire, and I was grateful to get a personal viewpoint on what it's like. And she's highly educated, totally on time, shows up, gets back to you. She's perfectly, like, she's not even dealing with some of the stresses that people dealing with mental illnesses and addiction are dealing with, and her body is strong enough so she can walk as much as she can. So you think about, if she can't find a permanent solution to her living problem, how can someone with even more challenges? It's dire. So I hope this pilot gets picked up. Also, Connecticut Public has a new president and CEO, Mark Contreras, and he's replacing Jerry Franklin. And he's having a one-on-one conversation with every employee in the building. And we had our meeting last week, and I like him a lot. He wants to get a lot of work done and create a lot of new programs, and I'm very excited about that. And his enthusiasm is kind of infectious, so we'll see what happens.
Judy Weatherby says, I like Peter's idea. Maybe I will start making my weekly salads at the same time. So inspiring.
Yeah, Judy.
Mary Kay Fenton says, I'm working up to that level of organization. You can have a whole chopped salad club.
Oh. Hartford Chopped Salad Club.
We've got a big table.
We've got a big table.
People have their own houses.
You have your own houses. What if there's a way maybe there's one of those programs for like conferencing, that anybody who has chopped salad going on can launch their video and we can all talk. The only problem with that is, what would happen. It would be like one person would start talking, and then the other person would stop talking, and the other one would say, oh no, go ahead, no you, and then it would just be like 48 minutes of all of us telling each other to go ahead. It's sliced egg time. Let's see. See how we did. Oh, Mia, I think you're going to like these. I think some of them are a tiny bit runny.
I liked them last week.
Oh, yeah? It's pretty good. It is not... Oh, this one I can feel is going to be runny. Let me get it on yours. It's not hard-boiled, if that's what you're wondering. Oh, yeah, look at this one. Do you want to watch it? Oh, yeah. We might have some visitors soon. Watch this. Watch this. Can you see this? I hope you can see this. In 3, 2, 1. It's not as... It's drippy. Just take my word for it. As I periodically like to do, please write in the little comment box below how you like to boil your eggs in the shells. Your hard-boiled egg method. I only say, ooh, this is drippy too. I only say your hard-boiled egg method because I know that not everybody wants hard-boiled eggs, but we like ours a little soft-boiled.
Judy says, ew.
Yeah, Judy. I like making Judy go ew. Judy go ew.
Peter Carpenter says he steams them.
He steams them? That's cool. Can you give us your exact method, like your timing and heat levels and stuff? Here's what I do. I boil a ton of water. And when it's boiling, put all my eggs in. Let them boil for 6 minutes. And then, after it's done, I put them all in a colander and I soak them in cold water. And that's it. I prefer ways of boiling eggs that are as lazy as possible. That's my priority. Lazy eggs. That's what I should call them, lazy eggs. And then I make a couple extra ones for Emily. She likes to have some extra eggs. It's salad dressing time. Featuring olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and Chion Wolf onion salt. You'll remember I often feature Trader Joe's onion salt, but they refuse to be a sponsor, and so now I just talk about Trader Joe's onion salt, and I use it in almost everything else. But we got a dehydrator from Savers, and so we dehydrated some onions and added salt, and so thus became Trader Joe's Chion Wolf onion salt. By the way, you may hear coming through our doors or at our doorbell either our roommate home or one of my oldest best friends, Jay Holt, whom you also hear on Connecticut Public Radio. He may be coming over with his little son, Ronan. Little Ronan. But they don't have much time until salad time's over. And then you all just have to imagine it. Alright, onion salt time. This is close to the end. Oh no. Whiskey. Whiskey, nope. Whiskey, nope. That's right, walk away. He walked away. Whiskey likes to just walk up to Nephthys, and then eventually he pounces on her. And then they wrestle, and she screams, like you might hear. All right, the moment you've all been waiting for. In 3, 2, what? Thanks for watching. It's Chopped Salad Time with Chion Wolf. I'm Chion Wolf. That was Emily Catherine Peterson and Whiskey Wolfson and Nephthys Wolfson. We'll see you here next week around the same time. And remember, if you ride your bike at night, chop your salad.
Nailed it.